You know, in the world of big tech, patent lawsuits are a dime a dozen. And usually, they end with a quiet, super expensive settlement. But what happens when a company says, nope, not today, and decides to fight back? Well, one just did, and they scored a knockout victory that pretty much nobody saw coming. We're going to break down exactly how they pulled it off.
And it's not just us saying it was a big deal. The company's own chairman called it a historic achievement. And trust me, he was not exaggerating one bit. To really get why this is so huge, you just have to look at one single number.
Yup, 22. That's how long it's been since a Taiwanese tech company, playing defense, has actually won a patent case in this specific U.S. court. Think about that for a second. This wasn't just a win. It was like breaking a 2-decade-long curse.
All right, so let's dive into the details of this historic tech victory and find out what really makes AUO's win so unprecedented. So here's the backstory. After a really grueling 2-year legal fight, the Taiwanese display giant AUO found itself in hot water. A U.S. firm called Phoenix Longhorn accused them of infringing on patents for making LCD panels. And the stakes here? They were massive. We're talking potentially huge damages, maybe even being blocked from selling their products. So what was the verdict? It was a complete and total victory for AUO. I mean, the jury didn't just say, hey, you're not guilty of infringement. No, they went a step further. They actually declared one of the plaintiff's own patents invalid. That's not just playing defense, that is a serious counterpunch. Okay, to really appreciate just how big this is, you gotta understand who AUO was up against. This wasn't your typical company versus company lawsuit. AUO was fighting a firm that a lot of people would call a patent troll.
Now, the official term is a non-practicing entity, or NPE for short, and their whole business model, it's all about litigation, not innovation. They don't actually make anything. They just buy up patents and sue people.
And they have a very specific playbook they follow. It's almost like a formula. Step 1, they acquire patents. Step 2, they target a successful industry. Step 3, they launch a whole bunch of lawsuits demanding these huge payouts. And step 4, they profit from companies who settle, because going to trial is just so expensive and risky.
And who are their prime targets? Well, it's often tech companies, right at the heart of the global supply chain. You know, companies just like AUO. Because the legal costs can be astronomical, a lot of firms just decide to settle. It's just easier. I mean, even giants like the chipmaker TSMC have been in their crosshairs.
But wait, the story gets even crazier when you find out where this fight went down. This was not just any old courtroom. Oh no, this was a notorious battleground for patent cases.
The case was heard in a very, very specific place, the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Texas. Now, for anyone who knows anything about patent law, just hearing those words, it sends a shiver down your spine. So why is that?
Because this court has a reputation. It's widely, and I mean notoriously, known as a patent plaintiff's paradise. Basically, it's the place you go if you want to sue someone over a patent and have the deck stacked in your favor from the get-go.
So how did it get this reputation? Well, for a few reasons. First, it's known for being extremely friendly to the people filing the lawsuits. Second, they have historically super fast trial schedules, which puts a ton of pressure on the defendants. And maybe most importantly, local juries there just tend to favor the patent holders. So for a company like AUO walking in there, winning was a massive uphill battle.
So you've got an opponent whose whole business is suing, and you're fighting in a court that's practically designed to help them win. So what did AUO do? They chose a strategy of pure, absolute defiance. You see, there are usually two paths you can take here. The common one? You settle. But AUO? They chose the other path, to fight to the very end. They just refused to back down because they were convinced the whole thing was baseless.
So how could they be so confident? Where did this gutsy attitude come from? Well, it all comes down to this number. By 2025, AUO is on track to hold over 25,500 approved patents around the world. This isn't just a defensive shield. This is a massive arsenal of intellectual property.
And just look at the quality here. A whopping 97% of those are invention patents. We're talking top-tier stuff. The company itself has a name for this. They call it their patent Great Wall. And that's exactly what they used, not just to defend themselves, but to go on the attack and get the plaintiff's patent thrown out.
Okay, so this is where the story gets bigger than just AUO. What does a single, decisive win like this mean for the rest of the tech industry? What are the ripple effects?
Well, for years, the narrative has been that Taiwanese firms were just passively beaten in these international patent fights. They were seen as easy targets with deep pockets. This victory could totally flip that script.
So here's what you should really take away from all this. First, this sets an incredibly powerful precedent for other companies that get targeted. Second, it is stone-cold proof that these tech firms can absolutely defend their IP on the world's toughest legal stages. And third, it's a huge signal that the old strategy of just paying a settlement to make the problem go away might not be the only option anymore.
And that leaves us with one final, huge question. After this one company's historic, hard-fought win, is this the turning point? Is this the moment the tide finally begins to turn in the long, expensive war against patent trolls?
喜欢这种学习方式，欢迎订阅我的频道，让我们一起用下一个10分钟，把商业英文变简单。